Hello, everyone. Welcome to another technical session. If you're watching this recording, my name is Emmanuel, and I'm developer advocate for techFiesta. One of the reasons why I initiated and started the technical session is basically to create materials for developers. So diverse materials for developers to aid their development, Web3 developers to aid their development. And as you know, techFiesta is an hackathon platform. We also use the blockchain technology to power hackathons, to pay developers, and even to host hackathon. And the techFiesta is a product of Equalance. Equalance being a Web3 organization that is helping to bridge the gap between Web3 jobs and Web3 talent. So today we have Sruthi. She's a developer advocate for Fidi, and she's going to be teaching us on how to build your own subgraph. And I think it's an interesting topic for every developer out there. I really love what the Graph protocol is doing, and I also love what Fidi is doing now, particularly. I think the last time we spoke, she mentioned the great works of Fidi, how that they are optimizing what we have with doing analytics. It's also an analytics tool also, but an upgraded and a very easy to use analytic tools. So nice having you, Sruthi. You can start, and I'm here to learn basically too.
Great. Thank you for that. Hi, everyone. I'm Sruthi. I'm a developer relations engineer at Fidi, and I'm also a developer advocate for the Graph. So before I move on, we'll start off in deploying and building our first graph, a subgraph today. And then moving forward, we'll kind of try and analyze some data using Fidi. So just a brief introduction, Graph is an indexing protocol, while Fidi is a data analytics platform, which is mostly we're shifting to no code in a week. So stay tuned to those updates. So even if you're not a developer or you don't know how to code, you can still kind of analyze all your data with just a few pop-ups and all of that. So yeah, let's maybe start off. What you ideally have to do is go to Subgraph Studio, and you connect your wallet, and we create a subgraph. Just a second. Yeah. So here, let's say I'm putting it as techFiesta, and I select Ethereum. We're good to go. We can create our subgraph here. You get your dashboard that's on the Subgraph Studio. Then what we want to do is we want to create a small folder that's empty. So I'll just do that up on my desktop. One second. I hope that's not lagging. Yeah. Name this is techFiesta. And then we go to our terminal. Right, so let's copy this path here. Yes. So now we have an empty folder. What we can start off is, let's first kind of, install all the dependencies. So I'm doing the npm install. Before this gets loaded, just a small introduction to what Graph is for someone who is new. Graph is basically like an indexing protocol. So let's say if we're using multiple operations, and we probably are using something like Etherscan, and we're building a huge project, right? So for you to actually go down, scroll, and find the exact transaction for you to probably use it for other operations is going to be very tedious if it's not all sorted for you. So what Graph does is it indexes and sorts all these transactions in the form of something called as bucket data structures. So for someone who wants to just maybe pick some specific transaction of some use case, you can pick it up very easily and use it in your code, right? So that makes it very easier for you. It's an indexing protocol, and as someone who's coming from a tech background or non-tech background, you can still contribute to the graph ecosystem. So there's someone known as delegators, curators, and indexers. So now what we're building is a subgraph, right? So for me to probably build a subgraph, if you're coming from a non-tech background but still want to like be a part of this ecosystem, you can just be maybe a delegator or a curator. So what a curator does is, let's say they're the people who are going to prioritize which query or which feature has to be more important in that subgraph, and according to what the curators decide, the delegators are going to stake in a few GRT tokens and delegate and say that, hey, I believe in this structure, or I believe in this prioritizing order. And once this process is done, it goes to the indexers who index all the queries on the graph ecosystem, and that's when you have your subgraph ready, right? So when you're probably building something on top of the subgraph studio, you're deploying your initial subgraph, and eventually, depending on your priorities and use cases, is what you will edit from the query, right? So for now, for this tutorial, what we can pull off is we will use an existing subgraph, take its contract address, and we'll just deploy it on top. So until this is loading, we can go to miniscan.xyz, and then we select your network, that's Ethereum. Then you have CryptoPunks. So this is one of the subgraph. This is one of those transactions that have a lot of subgraphs in it. So here you go. You copy the contract address and you paste it here in Miniscan. This one. And you get all the details, right? So from the name, the blog, from where it's starting, your ABI, the code, everything is right here. Once we have our npm and all the packages installed, we can pull that off. So yeah, looks like that's taking a while. Okay, not sure why this is happening.
Hello, Sruthi. Are you there?
Yeah, I am there.
Okay, the dependency, right? It's still installing.
Yeah. Just
Okay,
a second.
okay.
Why this is happening?
No problem.
Probably do it again.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, fine.
Right now we're just deploying the existing subgraph, but if you want to like connect the front end to it, uh, you can always feel free to go to uh, the Graph India GitHub, where you will have access to kind of a small repository with all the that has a README file that actually explains everything in like clear detail. So for that, you have the front end code ready. All you have to do is just execute it by just like maybe just copy pasting stuff. So yeah, this is the repo. If someone's willing to probably give that a shot, feel free to use the one that is in the Graph India GitHub repo. India. Not sure why this is taking so long.
Maybe it's the next one.
Yeah, but it just did work fine. Let's see. Let's just see what happens.
Oh, sorry, you could go to your Fidi presentation,
Oh
the
yeah,
other presentation
let's
while we're waiting for this.
get that one. So yeah. So FIDA is basically a data analytics platform. So if someone has used any sort of like data analytics platform, you'll be familiar with the kind of querying that one has to do with all your preferences and use cases, right? So FIDA makes all of that easier for us. We're open to like a lot of chains. We're across Ethereum, Polkadot ecosystem. So our code base is such that you can integrate with us very seamlessly. You just have to pull out just one file, act as a data source, as a middleware, or as a a mixer or a mapper, and you're good to go. So it's literally that simple. And what we are right now available on is we have a so that's the page. We have our portfolio analytics platform where you can see get your dashboard. It's pretty simple that ways. You can customize your colors, you can have access to all your NFT collections, all your assets and all of that. Then we have so that's the portfolio analytics thing. We're across 2500 plus protocols and 100 plus chains. So that ways lot of customizability too. And then we have something called as dot site. So if someone's a developer and would want to probably build something on top of FIDA, maybe like a time series forecasting thing, or maybe you want to build your own data source or pipeline, you can get access to the dot sites GitHub. And then from there, you can just move on. Initializing the dot site GitHub is pretty simple. So yeah, that's about dot site. Again, here you just have to literally pull out one get request and you're good to go with all the details, right? So if this is your get request, you get all your information like that on spot. So what we're looking forward to is something as the no code version, where which probably coming out in like a week or two, where what we're expecting is we don't want someone who's not new to the industry or someone who's absolutely a product driven or is not aware of the querying side of blockchain to find that difficulty in accessing all these environments. So maybe if I'm someone, if there's a new student who's coming up who wants to just give an analytics platform a try, we've seen a lot of them be so messy that once we open the platform itself, it's so intimidating for us to kind of walk through it and see where we have to navigate and what options we have. But with FIDA, it's super simple. Everything's very clear. All you have to do is you choose your mixer. You just have drop down buttons. So you choose your mixer, your middleware, your data source, and you get your dashboard, right? It's literally that simple. So yeah, that's dot side. Then we have on enterprise level for businesses, if someone wants to like integrate their entire maybe price feeds or come over as a middleware, be a part of our library. We also provide a data API that you can integrate. That's pretty much it about FiDi. We're looking for people to use dot site, all the developers to kind of explore the ecosystem and give this a shot, because personally as a student I've tried this a couple of weeks back and it's been super easy to navigate, super easy to kind of explore all my transactions, all my assets and stuff. At the same time, I was also trying out different analytics platforms, and I think we're solving a lot of pain points that analytics platforms do have. So yeah, it'd be great if we can connect, and maybe I would love to know all your feedback for dot site. So, oh my god, this is taking forever. Okay, I'll just give you a small brief meanwhile. Maybe we can just go
Yeah, you
through.
can do that.
Yeah, we can probably just go through the doc, because that seems like forever for some reason. So yeah, so when I'm talking about Subgraph Studio, you can deploy your Subgraph initially directly from the terminal itself, and you will have all your code base straight up on whatever IDE you're using. So let's say you're using VS Code. Once you deploy it, you have all your queries and schemas all lined up in your VS Code. But if someone wants to connect that with your front end and maybe build like a full DApp, fully functional DApp, this is what you ideally have to look through. So this is just a small, small remix contract. All you have to do is copy paste this up on your remix, and this is literally changing the name, your username, or like something on Twitter. So that's the main function here. And you put this up on Remix, verify and publish your contract from Etherscan. And then we go to Subgraph Studio. Once that is done, instead of the contract address we're using here for CryptoPunks, you will ideally be using the one that you have here for your contract. It's not just this one, but any contract for that matter. If you build your own contracts and deployed it, it's very simple. All you have to do is verify and publish it, and just pick that contract address, and you can use it up on Subgraph Studio. So yeah, once that is done, once we have all our Subgraph deployed, here is where you come. And from the Subgraph, you do the front end. So for front end, you obviously need to do your basic React application development. And then you install the GraphQL query and all the data thing. You need to install that package. After the package is done, it's very simple. You literally don't have to code anything, right? So when you're new to this ecosystem and you want to try out something, we have all the code bases ready. We have everything very clearly explained, and we're all available for you all to seek help. So just copy paste these import functions and like abra.jsx fold into the abra.jsx file, and you're good to go. Once you query your URL, you're sorted, right? So that's how you kind of build in your front end. But yeah, I want to do it on Subgraph Studio, but I'm not sure why this is taking so long. Oh, thank God that's done. Yeah. So once this is done, we have our packages installed. Then what we do is we initialize our subgraph, right? So here you go. Here I have used Ethereum's network and we're going on mainnet. But if you want, you can go across different chains. So there's Aave, there's Near. There are a ton of other protocols that were available on. So depending on how you want to build your contract, you can pick your network, your data provider, or let's say if you want to do something on Polygon, you can pick that. Or if you can also pull it from Sepolia or Goli and do something on the testnet as well. For now, I am pulling it out on Ethereum mainnet. And again, okay, this is, I'm not sure why this is happening. Yeah, so you select Ethereum, then you can just click enter for subgraph slug and the directory. Here you have all the options that we provide for networks, for Ethereum network. So right now let's go on mainnet. And here at the contract address, you got to pull out the one that you've given here. So this is going to be your contract address. This is the CryptoPunks contract address. If you have built something on your own, you can pull out that contract address and keep it here. So it's going to fetch API from Etherscan. Sometimes this might not happen rightly. So if you, yeah, like this happened, right? If you just want to give it another try, you can do that. But if that is not working, what you can do is you have your API code here. All you have to do is just copy paste this one and put it across here so that you can run it directly from the terminal, or you can pull that out, put it in the IDE that you're using and run it here. That's like a much viable option, or you retry it a couple of times, that will still work. Okay, and we have the start block here. It says 3914495. It's the same one here. So yeah, 3914495. Double 495. And the contract name, make sure you don't put the one that you've taken initially for Subgraph Studio. So let's say I'm taking techFiesta. Don't use that one. You need to use the name of your contract. So here it's CryptoPunks Market. Let's quickly type that up. CryptoPunks Market. And you want to index contract events as entities? Yes. So now it's going to create your subgraph. Right now, we're just using a single subgraph, but if you want to kind of add in multiple subgraphs in the same project, or maybe have multiple contracts in the same project, sorry, you'll get an option right after this where it asks you if you want to use multiple ones. So you can then add in a lot more contract addresses. But otherwise, for now, let's just go ahead with one subgraph. So here you have all your functions. Once it's kind of sorted on the terminal and you have all of them on your VS Code, you get to see each of these functions and see those transactions, right? So ideally, you can modify the ones that you want depending on your use case. I can probably quickly walk through an already deployed one meanwhile, I guess. You're on mute, man.
Yeah, you are still installing the dependency. Am I correct?
Yeah.
This is another dependency. Don't worry. Yeah, let's see how it goes, because a lot of people will be watching this video and they will want to know how to do it from the beginning. So it's fine.
Okay, all right. So I just go walk through an already deployed one. So meanwhile, we can see what all options we have there. Right. So this is another, subgraph that I have deployed. So once you deploy your subgraph, you get something called as your graph query URL. So here you can maybe do all your versioning, your querying, any editing that you want to do, any queries that you want to add up. These are your development query URLs. And then you get your deployment ID that is going to be live. right? And whatever description you want to give, let's say you have your website live, let's say you have your DApp live, or maybe you have a source code URL. So let's say your GitHub URL goes here, or what kind of application you're building. So maybe you're building a gaming one, or DAO, or DeFi one, any of these categories. You can have all those customizations here. And let's say you want to like play around with your queries, with your GraphQL queries, you can do that here as well. You just query some functions, you run them across, and you will see what your outputs are. You will get your logs here. And then you have your you also get your deployment key, so with which you can again access your subgraphs. And once this is done, this is an already deployed one. So once a subgraph is deployed, you can actually see it running on mainnet. So once you have all your, and I think I would personally suggest running across all of these on testnet first. But again, totally up to you. Here here this one's on mainnet. So yeah, you can again change your, let's say you have an NFT background, or you have something, you have a digital collectible, you can change your profile here. And yeah, you can publish it. What else can we do? So once that is done, what you ideally want to do is your initializing is done. So you've initialized your subgraph. There are a few other downloads that you have to do, that is for generating and building your subgraph. So once excuse me, that initializing is done, you can easily pull off any of these code gen and graph build functions, run them once, so that you have those downloaded and you're good to go. That's when you ideally deploy it. But yeah. Yeah, so here it asks us if we want to like add another contract. So for now, I'm saying no. So we've initialized our subgraph here. Next, what we want to do is we want to deploy it. So for us to deploy it, we all have one authentication key here. So again, my bad, I'm on the wrong one. So let's go back to techFiesta, the subgraph. Make sure your wallet and all of that are connected to the same account everywhere. So yeah. Here I have my authentication, this one, paste it here. So here you get your deployment key, right? Here you have enabled your deployment key. Next, what we do is we go to techFiesta again, cd it here. And then we do graph code gen. And then use graph build. You can use both the functions at once, but I'm assuming my network's bad, so I'm just giving it that time to process. And once you install graph code gen and graph build, you're good to go. You just have to deploy it here using this command. And you will have everything set up like I've shown you on the previous subgraph, right? So probably pull out VS Code and have that open by then. Yes, so we have the types generated here. Next, we want graph build. Just a second. It usually takes if you're deploying your first subgraph, it usually takes 10 to 15 minutes. But moving forward, once you're accustomed with with the whole subgraph studio, and you kind of have idea what's happening there, it's just going to take you like 3 to 5 minutes. But even for your whatever laptop or desktop you're using, even for that to process, it usually takes 15 minutes. So yeah, here we have our the the repository ready as well. So I think we should have this one up by now, but let's see. Yeah. So since we've initialized our subgraph and we're like close to deploying it, we have here you see all your assign entities, your transfer, punk offer. So all of these are different functions, if I may call, or events. So which has all the details are here, right here. So if you want to make any modifications for this specific subgraph, you can do them across in this GraphQL file. But if you want to build something on your own, then again, you'll have to kind of integrate all of these with the Subgraph Studio. Looks like it's compiling the subgraph. So let's just wait for a minute and see. Yeah, so here we have the build completed for the subgraph as well. So now what we're doing is we will deploy it. Here you go. Go to your terminal. So you will see all the details changing even on your dashboard. So yeah, when it's asking you for the version label, you ideally want it to like increase, and as it increases, it uses those versions. So I am going to give 0.1.
So it's still compiling, right?
Yeah, it's just the compiler. Once this is done, you will have it deployed like I've shown you in the previously deployed one.
Oh, okay.
pretty much it about how you as a Yep. So for FiDi, this is where you ideally have to go as a developer. It's an open source project, so you can go up to FiDi Tech and then .site. What you ideally have to do is just clone the repository. I'll just give you a quick walkthrough. So you just clone your repository. All you need is Node v16 or anything above that. Once you clone it, we want you to obviously install the dependencies. So you do that with npm CI, and then you start the application. That's it. So let's say once you start the application, if you want to kind of run through and take a few analysis, maybe pull out something from Etherscan and pull out a wallet address and see its analytics, what you can do is you can directly go to pipeline.config.ts. That's the folder you have to navigate to, and just do a small get request. When I say a get request, it's important to mention your network and port layer. So let's say you're doing it on localhost. So you obviously type HTTP localhost 3000, and then you get your entire thing, the get request here. So if you notice in the get request, you will have your mapper ID, you will have your dot value distribution. These are functions. And here you will give your wallet address. So here, this is a test one that we're using, but if you want to pull out something from Etherscan, you can just pull out that, wallet address, replace it here, and you will get your output straight up. And right now, .site does not have a front end, so it's on the terminal. But we're hoping that once we have the no-code version, it should be much easier for one to kind of explore it on the dashboards and on the front end and dashboards in itself. So this is one way of querying. So if someone who understands infrastructure and data analytics side of things do realize that how important data sources, middlewares, and all of these play. So let's say I want to have maybe something like Ethereum as a okay, we have right now we're all querying on Subsquid for FiDi, but we can do it with any kind of indexer. So we can use Graph, we can use Subquery, we can use Subsquid. So again, let's say we're going on with a middleware, we probably can have Chainlink on board, we can have maybe Hyperlane on board, and all of these providers. Then we can have data providers. So we are literally open to a lot of ecosystem around us in such a way that somewhere every single role that all of these entities play, we will be the final application layer or the presentation layer that comes out, which says, hey, this is what is happening on the background. We should give you that clear picture of the product, right? So irrespective of whatever role a product or protocol is playing amongst these, we're open to like having them on board on our library. So it's very simple, right? And I'll just, let's say if you're going to pipeline.config, what you can do is, let's say I want a data source that is pulling our stuff only for maybe CoinGecko or maybe DBank. So here you have, we use DBank right now, and we obviously have CoinGecko as well. Polkadot.pipeline.config. So yeah, so let's say I want to maybe use some other coin here, use maybe GraphQL here, sorry, get the graph here instead of the Subsquid. I just add my endpoint, I add the coins that I want to use, I mention the all the schema there, and you're good to go. This is literally the only file one has to edit as a developer to build your own pipeline. The rest, everything is all shaped, and if someone wants to integrate, we're very flexible that way. So we're open to like a lot of collaborations as well. And yeah, when I talk about just a second, let me write this up. So yeah, so when I say about the portfolio analytics thing, we're also live on the iOS, on test flight. So if you just want to give that a shot, do explore the app on your mobile. So you have all the dashboards ready there for portfolio and network analytics. So yeah, I think like Emmanuel mentioned in our last conversation, it's basically like Power BI. It's not Excel, right? It's Power BI. Excel needs a lot of understanding, a lot of brain remembering and stuff, but Power BI is more visually easier. So that's what we're kind of going to achieve. We're trying to achieve so that we have the maximum people make use of analytics, because that's what we look at as future, and the very few analytics platforms that actually provide this kind of resources. So just pull out any wallet, or you can check your history. This is like a brief dashboard. So yeah, so let's say you have this like this, you have that's the history. Then you can have your dashboard where you have your all your wallet details. You have all the coins or amount that you have your assets. If you have some NFT collection, you get it here. You have some airdrops, you get those. What's beautiful is it's cool how we kind of trying to do the no code version also with a very similar template. So you will literally have a few drop down buttons here, pick your data source, pick your middleware, and you'll have this dashboard in like seconds without any sort of querying. So yeah, that's about FIDI. We're trying to simplify analytics for Web3, and hopefully we're going on the right path. Yeah.
Okay, so how about the subgraph? Is it done? Are we done?
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah, sure. Network can be messy at times, so it's fine.
Yeah. So our subgraph is done. We have it deployed. Give me a second. I'll just share the screen. Yeah. So here, if you see, you have your get request. So you basically have your URL for the subgraph. You see that it is deployed and it is completely built. It's uploaded to IPFS. So if you go back to your Subgraph Studio, you will get all the details that you need for any sort of querying, right? So yeah. So here, if you see, usually what happens is if it's your first subgraph, kind of getting this progress to 100 is going to take you 10 to 15 minutes, but eventually the time will keep reducing because there are like a couple of them that I've built previously across different wallets on my on my laptop, so it's working pretty well. And yeah, so if you see here, you have your development query URL. That's the latest version. So here, if you see, we've created the subgraph almost like in the starting of the session, right? But it has been actually deployed 10-15 minutes back. So let's say tomorrow you want to build a new version of it and add more schemas or add more logic to it. You can do that up and you will get your latest version URLs here, and you will get all the previous version URLs too for your reference. So that is one thing you can do. And you have your deployment ID as well. So yeah, any help with respect to where you want to kind of start off querying and all of that, the graph documentation is available. So just have a quick walkthrough. It's pretty easy to understand. Again, like I said, what you can talk about what your subgraph is doing here. Have your source code GitHub URL here, your website URL, and the categories, and you can save this up. You're good to go. And once this is done, you can publish it as well. But again, because we're doing it on mainnet, we will need some wallet balance, GRTs, and all of that. So if you can explore that on testnet, but you ideally would want to publish something only when you have your queries and your logic completely ready. This is something that is already published. Like Cyberpunk, CryptoPunk is already on the Subgraph studio, so I do not want to publish here because we have not made any changes to it, right? So yeah. And moving forward, any changes that you want to make, you can make them directly. Oh, I've changed the folder, but you can make them directly in VS Code and you should be good to go. You don't have to make changes every time, maybe on your terminal or somewhere here. It all works directly from your VS Code, and once you version it, it will be up there. Right. So if someone's done this parallelly, I think you've built your first subgraph and you've deployed it. It would be great if you can maybe try out building something on your own, or try out the Graph India repo where you have the front end running too, and maybe come up with your own logic, extend it to maybe building a full stack DApp. We'd be happy to kind of showcase you on our platforms. So if you've probably built like a full stack DApp using Graph, feel free to ping anyone from the team of the Graph on our Discord. We're the advocates there. So once you ping any of us, we'll have you showcase your project on maybe a Twitter space or a Discord or weekly town hall or something like that. And we can see how we can take it forward, maybe for a grant and etc. like that ways.
And stuff. So thank you very much, Sruthi, for today's session. Yeah, the network kind of messed up, but then it's fine. And thank you very much, guys, for showing up. I'll be in touch with you, Sruthi. I think there's a lot we will do together.
Definitely.